Well, I guess this is just the point of the day where the church makes a bunch of noise. So welcome to Europe, guys. What a fun trading day today. It started off pretty okay. I was like, okay, pre-market's looking good. I made some really nice kind of support trades, some dip buys, looking for some reversals, which none of which really ever worked out, but I took my profits quickly today. Yesterday, pre-market, I didn't take my profits. I was always looking for kind of a bigger trade and none of them worked. So today, I took my profits when I had them. Sometimes I would miss a bigger move, but it's fine. I was building up a nice big cushion. Into the market open, I missed tons of moves. I'm not even kidding. I missed like every move that I wanted. Which was a little frustrating, but I felt like half the reason I did that is because I had a really nice cushion. I was up like $200 before the market opened, and I felt like I didn't want to give it back. So I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of kind of a weird emotional attachment kind of in play there more than it should have been. Anyway, a good way to avoid that is setting some limit orders near prices that you want. That would have actually been a really, really good way to start off the day. Whatever, I missed the run-ups in the morning, and then I was like, okay, well, let me not FOMO into higher prices. Let me kind of see how these things perform a little bit. And then waiting for the right moments allowed me to chip away more and more and double my profits. Again, so we ended the day up almost $500, a really, really solid day for the fact that we're still only trading very small size. I think my biggest position today was like 2,400, but most of my trades today were about $1,000. So I was just, 50 bucks here, 50 there, 70 here, maybe 30, maybe 10. I had a scratch. So almost all, I actually don't even know if I had any red trades today. It was like my accuracy was there and I was taking profits quickly, and that combination allowed me to have one of my bigger green days with the small size that we're using today. So, or in this kind of challenge atmosphere. So pretty good stuff there. I think there's tons of lessons to review. We're also going to be reviewing the lead gappers today. Are there going to be potential holds? Maybe not, I don't know. Let's talk about those MXC and OBLG specifically, see how I would like to trade them into the afternoon or maybe pre-market. And yeah, guys, that's everything. Let's go to the charts now. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy the content. If you're new, consider subscribing. I'd love to see you again. Join the community. It's really, really good fun. Let's go to the charts now. Whoo-wee, guys, welcome back. So, my laptop has not exploded yet. I know that near the end of the stream where I don't know if it was internet issues or if my laptop was having issues. And then I noticed that it was just getting very, very shaky and laggy. So I think maybe it was my laptop having some issues. But oh well, overall, we ended the day one of our bigger green days. So I think of the 25K challenge, although I'm not really doing the 25K challenge in terms of we're not day trading it, we're only swing trading it. We could look into some of the swing trades here as well, if I remember, because it is still growing very, very nicely. It's actually growing at a pretty decent speed. So OBLG was our biggest winner today. And this is the one I actually traded quite a bit pre-market, although most of our gains, I think most of our games on it, I believe, came after market opened. And then we also had MXC. Both of these I traded pre-market and we were up pre-market. So it was a really, really nice way to start the day. I think I already started the day around like $180 up or so. And then we had MVIS and BKYI. We had no losers today, which is rare. And I feel like that doesn't happen all the time. I feel like I'm really, really probably spoiled today a little bit because I gotta even think about it. I'm not even sure if we had a red trade today. And today we had a pretty decent trading. We had 13 trades overall today. So it was, it was a good trading day. I'll have to, when I document all the trades, maybe there was a trade or two that we were red, but right now I honestly can't think of it. So we had potentially 100% accuracy, and yeah, I think that's really like the main reason we're up a lot today, because I had no real blow-away trades. I had no trade that, I made 30% on. I had no trade that was, that was the winning trade. I had a lot of base hits, and that really got me up today. I also didn't even use that big position size. I think one or two of my trades was over $2,000, but I had a lot of trades at $1,000. So, not really anything too crazy. Let's start with BKYI. You guys remember this one from the day before. if you watched the stream or if you watched the recap. BKYI, basically, it's going to be easier to talk about on the daily or on the hourly chart. So BKYI, in a very nutshell, yesterday we entered here for a small entry around 0.62 cents. And that's because it came out with offering news at 0.65 and the stock basically fell from here pre-market all the way down here. And then I basically just got out as the stock was kind of finding some resistance pre-market. I could have easily held this and took more profits. I definitely left like 7-8% on the table, but it wasn't really my goal to hold on this long. And, overall, I just used really, really small size. So I didn't really want to keep thinking about it. I rather kind of got out of it. So if anything, I probably should have averaged down a little bit. It grew my position here a little bit more and then looked for a bigger swing, because this whole move was 16%, roughly 16-17%. So we could have locked in a little bit more profits. And my actual overall goal, my original limit order was actually at 0.7 or like 0.69 or something like that. So if I just left my limit order, we would have got filled. So I don't know, maybe I should really stick to the original plan a little bit more than I always say I want to stick to the original plan, but I do end up tweaking it every now and then. MVIS, let's go here to our second biggest winner on the day, or our third biggest, no, wait, hold on. MVIS, our third biggest winner, our second lowest winner. I don't know, that's a weird way to say it. Third biggest winner, let's just focus on this one. So MVIS, this one was very similar to BKYI. It was pulling off pre-market, and this one didn't have any specific news about it on why I was really, really nervous, but I did know it was finding some big support here at 192. So my first entry was actually fairly aggressive on this one. I bought at 193, you can kind of see it here, and then I bought again at 184, a smaller size. So I averaged down a little bit. I could have averaged down much harder. But then I sold into the first spike to the upside. So let me quickly go here and show you guys this. We basically touched VWAP and I sold here at 196. So, I could have held through all this, but who knows? There's a small chance that I would have cut my losses here at a 5% loss, because I always cut losses between 4 and 8%. That's like my max stop area. So I don't know, maybe I would have got faked out somewhere in this area. So I don't really regret getting out of this trade, but I wish I maybe bought a lot more down here at 0.8. Yeah, and maybe I could have doubled this position size easily. I could have doubled this position size. So at a total, we are up at one point, let's see here. Let's just say like 192, I think was our average price roughly. So 192, yeah, this was a $1,500 position size. I could have thrown in maybe another 500 shares or so to get a nice full size down here at 1.8. And then, selling to this bounce here would have been pretty strong. That would have been like an 8% return or so. That would have been probably the way to trade it, because honestly, you could look back and be like, oh my God, I missed out on 35%, but you just don't know. A lot of times this doesn't happen. What I should have been more conscious on the fact that, if we go to the daily chart, is the fact that MVIS, it was selling off, but it was selling off with very low volume. So that's actually a very bullish sign. Plus we have huge support here at 1.9. So I think this scenario, I should have looked at it a little bit with more a micro lens, and been like, okay, this is actually very, very bullish. So maybe it would be worth holding on to this one. But I don't know. It's always easy to say in hindsight. There's so many times where, a stock bounces 8%. And you're like, I'm going to hold a little bit longer. Before you know it, you're closing for a 10% loss. Like, locking in profits, you'll never go broke locking in profits. And honestly, today is a huge kind of stamp to that, because all of our trades today were base hits. We had no big winners today. We had some, I think, that were like 6 or 8% profits, which is a pretty decent trade. But again, no like 10% plus. A lot more we can review once my trades get uploaded to Trade Journal. Which, on Trade Journal, big news, the import module is almost done. I would probably give it another, okay, this actually sounds really bad. Probably, I was going to say another few weeks, but we did some of the first testings on it this week, and some parts work, let's just say. Some of it's working. And that's really, really exciting. So some of the uploading is going to go a little bit faster to tradejournal.co. Okay, let's go to MXC. This was actually, I think it was our lead gapper on the day. MXC here, where is it? Where's it hiding? Let me find you. MXC. Okay, this one was really crazy. And oh my God, I missed MXC so much. I think
the amount of opportunity that I let slide through my fingers on MXC is extraordinary. And the reason I missed it so much is because I was fully focused on OBLG. And every time I entered an OBLG trade, I obviously made my second screen onto OBLG so you guys can watch it as well. So while I was doing that, I was no longer able to watch MXC, and then I missed basically this whole run up here because this is when I was trading OBLG. Luckily, I made some good profits on OBLG, so it wasn't total loss. And I'm not also like, it's all your guys' fault. It was, it's nobody's fault. That's just the facts. So I was not watching MXC because it was no longer on my screen at the time. So MXC 200% gapping pre-market around like 7 a.m., 1 million float, US oil and gas company with good fiscal 2020 results. So I was like, I like that. This is some good stuff here. Let's go ahead and, this is when I was watching it pre-market. And let me go back maybe one more time. Yeah, this is where I was watching it pre-market, and I was like, okay, well, I like what I'm seeing here. This thing is clearly pulling up. Overall, very, very bullish. And it moved up from like $3 or so all the way up to 12. And I'm like, okay, well, 12 is, there's huge resistance here at 12, even at 11. And then we have a top at 1450. So let's watch out a little bit here because this thing's already up quite a bit. So the market goes ahead, or TOS opens at 7. So right here, this is pre-market at 650. And then all of a sudden at 7, that's when you get the big volume in. So boom, it drops at the market open, or TOS open at 7. And then I'm like, well, okay, I'm not going to really buy into this chop. This is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen with stock, but I do know that $8 is huge support. So as we were pulling back to $8, I bought here at $8, and I got I was a little bit nervous here because it took a while for this thing to break higher. And actually, at first, it broke lower. So I was all of a sudden red on this trade, like $30 right after I entered. And I was like, oh my God, is it going to crack 8 here? You just don't know, right? And look at all this selling volume here. It's a lot of selling volume. So you got to be careful. Luckily, the next candle broke higher. I actually closed here at $9 because we had this support here. This former support is new resistance, right? So I thought $9 is going to be huge resistance. So I sold at $8.95, which actually was at first a good idea because it hit $9 or like 99 or something, and then it slammed back down, and then I was like, whoo, I got out of that one, but then it slammed back up. And that is the power of a ticker with a 1 million float. Actually, the float is even less than that. It's like 700,000 or like 750,000 shares to be traded. That's a tiny float, guys. This thing has that explosive potential, and that is like the key I really want to kind of highlight here. Because if this thing had 50 million float, there was no way I would have took my profits way, way quicker. I probably would have been like at 650, been like, taking profits already because they tend not to move as strong. Actually, if this was a 50, 100 million float, it probably would have never done this move to begin with. So that's always something to consider there. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more here so we can get a little bit more data. Yeah, I actually wanted to buy this again, but around 8:30 or like getting into 8 o'clock, I was working on documenting my trades from yesterday. So I wasn't looking at the charts here in this area. Let's kind of go here a little bit further. MXC, I'm not even sure. Did I trade this one more time? Yeah, I think I did. So MXC was showing some really, really good signs of strength. And then here I was like, okay, this thing, boom, it's breaking higher. This is looking good. And then I started the stream. So we can all watch what's going on together. And basically right as I started the stream, I was in a trade with MXC. I bought this little quick move here on this pullback at 11. Was looking for a bigger breakout, but I kind of got chopped away. So I closed that one. And then this thing pulled back twice. And I was like, okay, well, $10 is big support. This could be a really good entry. And I bought the entry here at 1051. And this was actually kind of sketchy because there was, I remember there was a lot of sellers. It was just very shaky on the order book. You guys can see it in the live stream, obviously. So I sold there. And then on the dip, I bought again because I was like, I don't really think this move is over. So this was a partial fill. It was a very, very quick trade. A weak bounce, I always say, is very, very something you want to watch out. One thing I do want to point out here is check out the sell volume. It's less, less, less. So we're selling off, but the sell volume is going down. That is divergence. There is divergence in this chart pattern. Divergence is something very, very powerful for identifying trend reversal. So that's why I don't actually remember. Did I trade this one again? I think I did. I got another entry. Yeah, I got a full size actually not a full size. I only got like a $100, 100 shares here, which isn't that big. It's like a half a position size here in MXC. And then boom, it starts pulling up, and then I closed here at resistance at near 11. So I was looking at that divergence. That was a very, very simple, clean trade, not to mention VWAP right below, possible support, plus a whole $1.10, everything looking pretty good. Instantly pulls back below 10, and then actually kind of sells off quite a bit here. And it sells off into the market open. And this is where I made the grave mistake today. This is where I made the biggest mistake today. Here, I was very quick. I saw an opportunity. I saw the sellers on the ask, and I would slap it with my bid. And then boom, I would get my fill and move up. I was very, very aggressive. I was patient, but when I saw the right opportunity, I was aggressive. I got long. So here, market opened, and I was like, oh, I'm already up a little bit. I don't want to give back profits by, blindly jumping on something. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I was too content. Anyway, the stock pulls back here, breaks higher, and then has a quick pullback to like, what was it, 9.6 or so. And at this point, I was like, I placed my limit order when the stock started pulling up again, even though on this first candle right here, in my mind, when I saw the candle open at 970 move higher, the first thought I had was I should place a limit order at 970 roughly, because the chance of this retesting it one more time before it moves higher is extremely high. So I dropped the ball so hard on MXC. I could have been up, $400 or $500 on this one, like that. So yeah, then it gets halted, goes higher. Oh my God. I dropped the ball so hard on this one. And yeah, then the next one was actually a halt going down. I bought here at 997, so roughly around 10. This was a pretty decent entry. I sold near the VWAP here for the retest, which was good because it pulled back right again. Then I kind of missed loading up here around 9.5. That could have been kind of an interesting trade. This thing was very quick. Each candle was like 10%. It was just wicked how the way this one was moving. Then eventually crawls back above VWAP. And this is where I totally missed it. We were consolidating here at 10.5. Selling volume was fading. Everything was looking good. But I was focused on OBLG. So really sad that I missed this whole move. I could have probably bought here because I was watching it, I think, right around here for a second. And then just, crawls higher, and I missed all of this. At this point, I no longer felt comfortable. I was like, this could be overextended. I don't know. We were talking about the 14.5 being a huge resistance zone. We were talking about this general zone right here being very, very dangerous. Just because we know that 14.5 is big multi-month support and resistance. Not to mention the sell volume is falling, which is actually a bullish sign. But we had one retest or one attempt to break higher, second attempt to break higher, third attempt to break higher, and each of these didn't work, and the buying volume was fading as well. So we're a little bit top heavy. We're near big support. We've had 3 attempted breakouts, and we've already had a run from 955 to about 1040 that was ridiculously big, about 63%. So the chance of this pulling back even a little bit was extremely high. And that's why I did not enter any sort of breakout potential here. And it was a good thing because a little bit later, this thing dumps right away, gets halted. This was like 11% dump, and then opens up lower. Now, this is actually the trade where I was like, I kind of kicked myself in the butt a little bit because I was like, oh, I would have loved to buy the dip at 11.5 or so. Missed that one, and then it pulls up. So if we got this trade, this would have been a pretty sweet little like 8%. I could have easily done it. Could have walked away with another, I don't know. It depends how big our size would have been. But yeah, definitely like 4 or 5% or so. Yeah, it moves up. I don't know. This is, it's tough. I would have been so scared trading any of this because I'd be scared of another flush like we've been seeing. The question is, will we trade MXC? Will we trade it again? I actually have a limit order here near 670 or 690. So we could see a little pullback here. I don't know. So far in the past, MXC has not really been able to hold its highs. So that is a really big red flag for me. I'm not really sure if I want to be trading this one since it didn't hold its highs very well in this area. I mean, this could easily have a flash pullback and be at $5 tomorrow because some offering or some news comes out. So this was, let's quickly think about this for a second. So this was, this last move was in 7/5/18. Oh, that's a long time ago. Let's quickly go back there. 7/5/18. So this was the big move. Let's see if they have kind of offering news or something like that. Not really seeing it. 7.5. Don't see any offering news. That's actually a good sign. Who knows? There may have been some sort of dilution, but the fact that it's still in this price area makes me actually think that there probably wasn't dilution. Anyway, I am pretty nervous about holding this one overnight. We had one green day. Actually, we had one big move here and a second big move, so maybe we'll have a second big green day. But this thing pulled back so much. I mean, 50%. So I want to be very careful in these areas, and I don't really think that I would be buying it above $6. I got to be totally honest with you. Above like $7 or $8. I just feel like that's a little bit too high. So if I get an entry at 7, I'd be pretty stoked, and then I would probably average down pre-market, and then maybe ride this one into the E-Open or something like that. But I don't really see myself, holding this one at this area, I gotta say, and that's my opinion on it. I could be totally wrong, but for now, I'm just a little bit nervous. Or I would like to see how this thing closes. It could break past 14. We had a double top here. Maybe it's going to break past 14, and then you just absolutely rally in the afternoon. I wouldn't be surprised at that either. The thing to remember is that 1 million float. That's huge. This thing could really spike. So if it does spike, it could really fly past 15. If it doesn't, it could really crash. So it's like those two things I want to be very cautious about. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here with OBLG. I'll talk about this one very quickly. OBLG. 4 million float, U.S. software app company, like one of the only companies we were looking at today that was not a U.S. oil and gas. Also up on Q1 2020 fiscal results. So that's a lot of news coming out right now with quarterly results. So let's, it's earnings seasons, guys. So OBLG pops up here. This one also really rough long-term chart, has a lot of kind of these one-day wonders and then sells off. So one thing to really consider, I really did like the way that OBLG was kind of setting up pre-market. So let's kind of go here and look at this pre-market setup. Like I said before, 7 o'clock is when TOS opens pre-market. So you can kind of, this thing absolutely exploded. Opened up at like 390 or 380 and then runs up to $5, past $5. And I'm like, oh man, I absolutely missed this one. Hit a high of 547. But I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't really feel like trading this one at these high levels. So I'm going to wait for a pullback to about 475 where we have these kind of bigger support zones from the daily chart. I bought here at 475. And then I bought actually another size because it kept on selling off. And I was like, I don't really like the fact that the volume on this sell is so high. This volume should be low. So I knew I was going to dump this one fairly quickly. So as it broke the EMA, for a second, I sold at 89, walked away with like 30 or 40 bucks profit. Nothing too crazy, but sometimes you just want to take those base hits, especially pre-market, and build a nice little cushion. Good thing because it sold off here. It actually kept on selling off, and I was very careful here. I actually built a decent size at one point. I had like full size, like $2,000 or so at one point, and it broke higher here and pulled back again. Then it broke higher, and I was like, boom, this is probably the perfect spot to get out. I kind of feel like this isn't going to break this resistance here because we had support here, and then we're coming back to resistance. And it didn't. This is actually another time I gave a stock 2-3 chances. So tried here to break out and then tried again. And then I think the third time it failed. And leading up to the third time is when I closed my position. So this was a pretty good save, I guess you can say. This whole move here was pretty nice. It was like 9%. But I only walked away with like 0.8% or something like that because I actually got most of my position size right here at 64. And then I got at 61 and then again at 45. So the only entry, because I bought more at 45 was the only reason this thing actually ended up working out a little bit. In 1 second, I got to open the door. Okay, so all right, I'm back. So let's fast forward here a little bit. I don't know if I really traded this at all afterwards. There was some really good buying opportunities near these bigger support zones, but I kind of felt like OBLG was a little bit dead. So I was cautious. Out of the gates though, I said 3.5, big support and resistance here. So I would have liked to trade this one at 3.5. Guess who doesn't trade it? Me. I kind of, dropped the ball hard on this one. I should have had a limit order ready to go on this one. This thing runs up here ridiculously 20%. This was a perfect pullback. Oh, I'm really kicking myself about this one. I could have made big money on this trade, but I kind of let it slip through my fingers. We had some good opportunity here. I bought this breakout, but this swing was weak. It didn't look like it was going to break the 9-minute the VWAP in this area, so I bought a nice little dip here on 91, a little bit early for an entry, and then I kind of sold this one right away. Again, small position size, and I didn't get the resolution I wanted. Then eventually here, I bought for the 9-minute EMA breakout on a good spot, great fill, but again, sold way too soon, which sucks because literally I sold and then it goes up 12%. And this one actually had pretty decent position size on, so I could have really made big money on this one. So again, base hits, no blow away trades yet this whole day. And then again here, bought on a pullback here. This is when I slap the ask. When I say slap the ask, it means like basically like there's sellers here at 75 and just buying right here. I'll get an instant fill. And on these quick moves, you want those quick instant fills. Look at this big amount of buying volume and this small amount of selling volume. That's a big reason I got aggressive on OBLG. And I sold here on the spike up. It was actually a pretty decent exit, but I could have bought again. And I don't know, I felt like with OBLG, there was nice moves on it, but I was always scared that there was, pre-market, this thing sold off so much. So I was scared that it was going to have a flash pullback or it wasn't going to have resolution. And that's oftentimes why I sold fairly quickly on it. Had a nice little fill here, but then again, I got shaken out here at 08. I think this was like barely a win. I made like a couple bucks off for this one. And then the last little breakout trade here, I bought the breakout basically for the 4.4. It went to like 4.8 or 4.7, didn't work, and I closed this one basically at break even. So yeah, I don't know. Then it kept on pulling back, had a flash pullback here. This was aggressive. I thought there was some news that came out about it, but there wasn't. Some maybe offering or something like that. A big reason I was so nervous with OBLG for an offering is the fact that, it hit big resistance here at 4.7 and $5. All these past spikes have not held. And, it's been a kind of a multi-day runner. So it's like, ooh, this thing is really high. This thing is very ripe for the company to be like, oh, guys, we want to do a secondary offering or something like that. So all those kind of factors made me never hold OBLG very long, made me take my profits quickly. But I did expect some decent quick moves because it had a 4 million float. If this thing had a 50 million float, I probably would have traded it a little bit differently. So it's always good to understand, what's the float of a stock, what's the history of a stock, and so on. So I would probably look to do a dip buy on MXC a little bit more, but I think OBLG could see some really good dip buy potential, near $2 or maybe even near 3 or 2.5 or something like that. I think probably out of the gates, I would look for a quicker move to like 2.5. So let me quickly actually just kind of confirm that with you guys. Let me buy a little, or let me place an order here, and then we don't have to buy it, but maybe I'll remove this order, maybe not, but I think 2.58 or something like that could be a good fill. So this would be about $1,300 position size, which is actually kind of a lot. I'll have to think about that. Maybe I'll change this order, but for now, I think around here at 2.5 could be a pretty good fill. Maybe we'll get a fill in the afternoon. Maybe we won't. If the price inches back here and it doesn't look too fun, I'll probably go ahead and remove this limit order. I want to see a quick flash pullback. Look at the amount of selling volume here. Ugh, this is looking very weak. So I might actually even move my order something closer to like 227 or something like that. Yeah, I'm already getting kind of nervous just looking at this one. This is probably not the best fill. For now, I'm just going to make it go to 400, reduce some of my overall risk on this potential trade, and then I might just move it down here to 23 or 27. I think there's a bit more support in this zone. So those are two, possible trades on OBLG and MXC. Let me know what you guys think. Are you going to be, trying to trade these a little bit more aggressively? Are you looking for a continuation tomorrow? I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, guys, don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you're new. I'd love to see you again. Join the community. It's really good fun on the streams. I will see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. So like always, guys, stay safe, make some awesome trades. Ciao.